Faculty of Planning, CFT University. With over 3 decades of experience in architecture and urban design education, his work strongly focuses on humanizing cities, urban ecology, and inclusive urban transformation. He has led and contributed to several safe research and development foundation projects on lake development, slum redevelopment, and old city revitalization. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, and very good afternoon. And it's a warm afternoon today, and 2 days of engaging with interesting speakers and debates. Today we have also interesting presentations with interesting experts, which we will look at today. So besides the elaboration in the morning panel about the relevance of governance and finance for climate and WASH, which was elaborated, I think we'll further that understanding through the presentations today. And we have 4 speakers to talk about and present their cases. And I would like to invite Edmond Clark from Madagascar. He's going to present on enhancing community access to climate finance through water payments and for ecosystem services. Please.
So thank you for giving me the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participants, good afternoon. So it is a great pleasure and honor for me to present you my research results titled Enhancing Community Access to Climate Finance Through Water Payments for Ecosystem Services in and up Madagascar. So my presentation is divided into 5 parts: introduction, materials and methods, results, discussions and recommendations, and conclusion. So Madagascar has an area of about 590 thousand square kilometers with 28 million population, and it is covered about 7 to 8 million hectares of forest. And however, Madagascar faces to the for natural resource deterioration, especially natural forest. And due to this situation, Madagascar need to find practice tools to manage and to try to find a solution to fight against this deterioration of natural forest. So Madagascar is developing several tools such as PES or payments for ecosystem service mechanism. So let's move on the materials and methods. So we use 3 steps for these methods. Firstly, literature review. Secondly, interview with the different responsible, especially the president of Two Inputs PES platform, and we use also different tools as maps. So we see on this slide the localization of Madagascar. It is located in the southeastern part of Africa. And we see on the Madagascar map the different PES mechanism developed. You see, for example, carbon PES, water PES, and biodiversity PES. So when you talk about PES mechanism, we cannot ignore the expression ecosystem services. So there are 4 types of ecosystem services. So, firstly, supporting ecosystem, that means ecological functions. Secondly, regulating ecosystem services and provisioning ecosystem services and cultural ecosystem services. So let's talk about the PES mechanism. What is PES mechanism? So according to the Sven Wonder in 2005, PES ecosystem service is the voluntary transactions in which a well-defined ecosystem service or a land use likely to secure this service is being bought by at least one ES buyer from at least one ES provider if and only if the ES provider secures ecosystem service provision during a specified period of time. It is one of the conditionality. So you see on this slide the collaborating between the provider and the beneficiaries of the ecosystem services. So let's talk about the results, which focused on the case study of water PES mechanism in Andap. Andap is one of the town which located in the northern of Madagascar with 50,000 inhabitants, and the population is around by this forest deterioration, as said earlier, and they implemented the water PES mechanism to fight against this natural forest, especially water scarcity. So, one the specificity of this mechanism is the existence of the provider of ecosystem service. So the provider are composed by the 35 families, and they manage around 40 hectares of watershed with cash crops. And there is also for public water fountain, which provide around 2,000 cubic meters by day. And for the household, there is 300 cubic meters by day, or 10,000 cubic meters by month. So generally, the daily consumption is around 500 cubic meters by day. So, for the beneficiaries of ecosystem service, okay, there are Jirama, urban municipality, private sector, and SOARS. For the ecosystem beneficiaries, there are also consumers who pay around 0.5 by household by month dollars. So the fund collect are used for the restoration, reforestation, protection of watershed, expansion for water infrastructure, training and awareness campaigns, creation of nurseries, and promoting green employment. So in terms of results, They protect around 70 hectares of area, 2,200 of protected areas, and 86 water fountains installed. So ecologically, this mechanism contribute to the conservation of biodiversity, reduce flood, stabilize soils, and maintain water availability during the dry seasons. So economically, it supports green jobs, creating green by creating green job related to the nursery development and reforestation. And this mechanism contribute also to extend the indice for Madagascar. So as discussions and recommendations, so as key lessons, the PES mechanism is operational, there is participatory governance model, tangible benefits for the population, example to be replicated in various as recommendation. So there is a development and implementation of legal and regulatory framework for the PES mechanism in Madagascar, development of national watershed PES initiatives, strengthening awareness and capacity building PES, encouraging funding for the effective implementation of PES mechanism. To conclude, the PES developed in Madagascar is a successful example of sustainable natural resource management by and for the community. It links ecological protection with access to drinking water. So it is the end of my presentation. Thank you for following, and I wait for your remarks and your questions. Thank you very much.
So we'll take the questions in the end. We'll go through the presentations, all the presentations. So please park your questions. Thank you. Thank you very much for a wonderful insight into the ecosystem management from Madagascar. The next presentation we'll go to is Mr. Manish here. Yeah. So Manish is going to speak about the circular cities in practice, transforming plastic waste through community innovation. Manish, to you.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Please mark the timings. He's going to alert you.
So, good afternoon, all. Myself, Manish Karpe. I am working as a research associate in All India Institute of Local Self-Government, Mumbai. So, today I am here present to circular cities in practice, transforming plastic waste in community innovation. So here I will share about my organization. So our institute we are celebrating this year 100 years. We established in 1926, and we have across India 45 plus regional centers. We are mainly working in education, teaching, research, then advocacy, advisory and consultation. Also, we as a panel as a SBM, Swachhata Knowledge, Swachhata Knowledge Center. So coming to the background, as we are working in plastic waste management, so we have to first understand what is the issues in our worldwide or nationwide. So we understand that in India, we have largest polluted in plastic waste management. If we see figures, so we have to, we are generating 600 Taj Mahals in plastic waste. And coming to the statewide, in Maharashtra, we are polluting nearly around 3 lakhs tons per year. So addressing this issue, in ALAG, we are having a platform, Maharashtra Wash Yash Coalition. Under that, we are working with the various state and central government department as well as development organization in the field level. So under that, we plan to focus on this plastic waste management project, plastic circularity. So this is basically our how we are coalition working from bottom to top approach. We are nearly engaged 10 plus state departments and then 95 plus ULBs and then development organization participation as well as ULB and RLBs, urban local bodies and rural local bodies. So coming to our main project we are working in field in the Maharashtra state, majorly 2 cities, namely localizing plastic action through communities. In our project, we have 4 pillars. So first is connecting policy to local implementation. Here we are focusing what are the urban local bodies prioritize. We are understanding first, and then we are going to the city level implementation. There we are using different models like awareness, behavioral change to involve college youth and school children. Then institutionalization circularity, which are the stakeholders or local partners in available in the cities. Already they are working in this sector, so we are involving them in this part of the circularity plastics, and then scaling through conversions. After the project completion or our field implementation over, so urban local bodies to take this initiative and go forward to sustainable way. So our intervention areas in the Maharashtra, 2 cities. The corporation level, we are focusing Pimpri-Chinchwad Municipal Corporation, and the council level, we are focusing Satara Municipal Council. Basically, they are in Pune district, and one of these council in Satara district. So here we focus PCMC is the mainly urbanization and population growth city, and also there is a industrialization hubs are there. In terms of council Satara, it is like a heritage, and most of the means wards and this type of cities in. So coming to the multi-stakeholder approach. So here we can see the numbers. This is our strength in the both the cities, like government college and government schools are there, as well as local stakeholders we mapped. We can work with them for this circularity. Then like bulk waste generators, RWs are there. Then slums are we notified. And as well as in the both cities, we have 2000 plus SHGs. So this is our strength. We can work with them and we can engage in this LPAC project. So coming to the how we are working on this project, we are having our method of change, or we can say theory of change, in 2 ways. First is the demonstration way, and second is the institutionalization. In the demonstration, we are doing awareness and behavioral change, then segregation, strengthening segregation and collection, and then forward linkages. So here already I mentioned we are engaging school children's, college youth. So these are our and communities. This we are awareness and behavioral change. Then for the segregation, we are engaging like waste picker association and SHGs. Then next for forward linkage, it will be for the how to control the plastic, and here ULB can focus. Then institutionalization, which are the stakeholders are engaging. So we are participate them and strengthen them. So basically our approach is like, first we did baseline assessment. In that we understand what are the practices and challenges and opportunities are there. Also what are the priorities of ULB. Then we conduct city visioning workshop. Here two-way conversation was done with the city officials, and which are the stakeholders are already working in this plastic waste management. Both we call them and we interact for the purpose of how you see the city vision. Then already we mapped some partners or stakeholders. In that we identified which is fit for our project. So we roundtable discussion was done, and then we demonstrate of circularity. We include our SHGs, means which are the identify or available in the both cities. Then students and youth. So coming to the our project cities like Pimpri-Chinchwad Municipal Corporation, here we started with like awareness sessions and with the children, youth. Then SHG level we demonstrate some. So here one of the stakeholders we find out, they are all type of plastic they are taking, but in that multi-layer plastic also they are taking, and they are producing some like sunglasses and then our specs bodies they are making. Then here we check here we plan zone wise we have to scale up, then it will come to the city level approach. So like that we here plan in the Pimpri Chinchwad. And next to the Satara, here there is no ongoing initiatives are there, but in the Pimpri Chinchwad already ongoing initiatives are there. So here we started with the engaging children and youth, specifically awareness session. So after that we here uh, started the periodically plastic waste collection, and also we in specifically here I want to mention Waste Picker Association, they take initiative to roll up this periodically plastic waste collection and also recycling waste way. So after this means it is last 1.5 year we are going already this in this project. So we decided, or we after the analyzing and understanding, we exclusively developed the plastic waste management related LPAC app. Here the main purpose was to analyzing data and tracking all the details. So every citizen in the city, every citizen or students or youth, they can means they can use this app. The purpose is to provide advocacy advisory and the track the how we can do the plastic waste management. So here the showing some dashboards and some capacity buildings information. So coming to the next, we focus also air quality monitoring. So here we went to means here our approach is three-way. First we conduct a session or workshop for the youth, then handholders training for the youth, and they can work on the manifesto for the air quality, how we can take good air, or which are the problems are facing in the city level. So youth will be present to city officials. They will create manifesto. So these are also in the Satara city. We deployed the 4 real-time low-cost air quality monitoring sensor. So it is checking PM 2.5. So because of this, all means plastic burning is our problem, and for the multi-layer plastic burning is biggest problem to the emissions of carbon. So these are our impact numbers last 1.5 years. The project is already ongoing. So already I shared we working with 2 urban local bodies. Then already we reached to 41 educational institutions. We can see here the some news cuttings and how we are engaging children with the some with interactive games and which are different sessions. Also for the community engagement we are doing some wall painting and other activities. So this is the project impacts and some numbers. Thank you.
Thank you, Manish, for the wonderful insights through your project about community participation and the positive results we get through that approach. Thank you. Now we move on to the next speaker. Is Rajib Das from Center for Advance and Research Advocacy. Okay. He's going to speak on climate resilient WASH governance forecasting based community owned adaptation in Jaipur and Bhubaneswar, another community based approach. So over to you. We're looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Rajib from Center for Advocacy and Research. So, based out of Delhi, but we also work across 8 states in India. We primarily work on 4 verticals. One is wash and climate change. Other threes are livelihood, social inclusion, and also public health. So to start with the present presentation. So my presentation, I will be talking about climate resilient wash governance, forecasting based community owned adaptation in Jaipur and Bhubaneswar. So to start with, we already know that climate change plays, climate variables plays a big role in managing wash, especially when it is in the informal settlements. So I will be discussing about Bhubaneswar and Jaipur, so representing 2 different climate vulnerable uh, region. One is located near the coastal area, that is Bhubaneswar in the eastern part of India, and other one is in semi-arid region of Rajasthan, that is Jaipur. So as I will be discussing with about the climate resilient wash governance, so the idea is to move from climate resilient wash as infrastructure to climate resilient wash as governance. So when you say governance, it's not about the government but about the system. So we need some system that would not just anticipate the climate variabilities, but also have the ability to absorb, adapt, recover, and also recover. So, so the 3 major, three operating principles for this action-based work we did are community ownership, continuous monitoring as an operating logic, then system strengthening. So when I say system strengthening, it is about that integrating or the strengthening of the present existing system in the city. And our idea is not to create a parallel system there. And the third one is the inclusion, gender responsiveness, and also to reach the last mile connectivity, last mile households. So again, like why climate resilient wash governance that I slightly mentioned, like to address the challenges not at individual level, but connecting the community through ownership, through their agency and accountability with a target of strengthening the system. So as I mentioned, like the climate events are not just peripheral shocks at the time, but these are everyday stressors. And the real failure is not infrastructure, but a system we need to address these problems. So coming to the context and institutional architecture. So as mentioned that about the like we worked at 3 level. So first one is at the settlement level with the community. So we formed at the community level community management committees, sanitation subcommittees, and with collaboration with the existing field level mechanisms that the local authorities have, like Jalsatis or ASHA or mass workers, to have the ownership of the services and the infrastructure developed there, and to elevate it to the ward level so that the decisions at the ward level that they are making have the community voices in that, and to elevate it further to the city level for greater accountability among the city officials. And among the city officials, when he said that city officials and the systems includes all the possible urban local bodies, including municipal corporations, that is Jaipur municipal corporations and Bhubaneswar municipal corporations. Then have water departments of PHED and WATCO in Odisha, and also women and child development and health departments in respective cities. So to address that, like one part is of the planning and other part is on the implementation. So we started our working with raising awareness among the people. To start with that, we introduced IBRS mechanism there. We also call it as community radio. Through that, in both the cities, like in Jaipur, it is called Jaipur Bani, and in Bhubaneswar, it is called Janhit Bani. So through this IBRS platform, we disseminated like awareness programs and also climate alerts before any climate extreme happens. So through our collar clubs, also like just like our these sanitation subcommittees and community management committees, we also formed IBRS collar clubs so that people who do not have their mobile phones, those people can also have access through those collar clubs and the institutionalized committees. So these IBRS do not function in silos, but also linked with the existing grievance mechanism of the particular city, like CFAR app in the case of Bhubaneswar, and also the state-run 189 toll-free number in Jaipur. So the initial gap we found that only IBRS, like letting them know about the climate irregularities or the danger, didn't like come up well, or say didn't make them to fight back easily. So because there was also a problem of dissemination of that particular knowledge to the last mile or the most vulnerable people. So we introduced one more tool there so that they have both accountability and also have the ownership, and they by themselves know it much better. So we introduced Sani Wall, and also we call it Sani Climby Wall. So this is a public owned public dashboard owned by the community to track water, sanitation, hygiene, and climate-related variables in a ward level, at the ward level, and managed by the community themselves through the committees that I mentioned, that community management committees and sanitation subcommittees. And those you can see that after collecting the data every week, that data also verified and reviewed by the ward level stakeholders monthly basis, so that it doesn't like fade up in a way that used to be. So that ward level officials also have that accountability to address their concerns. So we also, with the climate variable kept in mind, we also updated the Sani wall in a way to like included climate variables, and also the mobile numbers, the address, at what time their SOP says that they need to work on the like address those issues in a same day or within 24 hours, within 72 hours, and across the indicators. And these indicators are also related to SDG indicators that JMP says, like both compared to basic and safe sanitation, basic and safe drinking water, then, and also have climate variables in line with the Rio markers. So institutionalizing resilience in everyday governance was an issue. So what I mentioned a bit on the indicators, then the SOPs they did over time, like at what time they need to do what, and also it engaged in a few activities to address both wash access and climate resilient access. So including monsoon drain cleaning before monsoon, then heat season conservations and storage practices of drinking water, then how to avoid contamination risk on the drinking water, and what are the adaptive actions, including raised toilets and water points that are used to be flooded during monsoon, then pipeline slope correction and valve checks, especially in Jaipur's context where the settlement have a different elevation even in a short distance. Then service prioritization for schools, Anganwadis and health centers. So beyond their habitats, and also continuous monitoring by not just the communities formed by us, but also Jalsatis, SHGs, MAS and ASHAs that already embedded in the system. So the impact is in the last 8 years, the total beneficiaries are almost 4 lakh, and out of them, 1 minute. Out of them, almost 18% have also accessed climate resilient wash access. So that it is not just about the numbers, not the scale, but it is also about the qualitative change. Like after implementing those, say, the mechanism that are monitored by the community, the feedback time they need used to have needed at least 7 days to address to address or correct a drain blockage, or say a disturbance in the water drinking water pipeline. So that are addressed in within 48 hours at present. So the key takeaways are 3. To keep it in short, one is climate forecast must trigger ward level action. Community ownership multiplies system resilience, and without institutional embedding, gains will slip. And the next step, integrating SANI-wall indicators and the IBRS into the ward level MIS to both to monitor it and also to address it in a quicker way. And lastly, let the data lead and people guide the way. So it's not that only data will work, but also we also need to have people's voice to make it better. Thank you. And I will be happy to answer your questions. I'm more comfortable in doing that, I think, than maybe.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajib, for another presentation. Wonderful insights into community-based success stories of implementation and looking at the issues at the local body levels. We move on to the next presentation, Diksha Rana. She's going to present Operational Expenditure Sustainability in Solid Waste Management, a monitoring framework in Northwestern Himalayas from the Wastewater Society in India. Welcome, Diksha. Over to you.
Thank you so much. So I would like to add another presenter, Vinay, would also be doing, so it's a shared effort. A very good evening to everyone present here. I am Diksha Rana. I am basically from Himachal. I have my colleague and a co-presenter here named as Vinay Kumar. He also belongs to the same organization named as Waste Warriors Society. It's in India, and we are working in 2 states of Northwestern Himalayas, which is Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. So we are a non-profit organization working and solving the waste crisis in Indian Himalayan region, primarily in Himachal and Uttarakhand. We have 12 plus locations, and we are working for more than 1 decade catalyzing the mismanaged waste and solving this crisis in Indian Himalayan region. So we will be talking about operational expenditure, sustainability in solid waste management, which is a monitoring framework in Northwestern Himalayas. So the present study comes from Himachal Pradesh, which is one of our state of work. Right. So everyone wants to go Himalayas, everyone wants to see mountains, and what we see mountains or why we visit mountains is something which is not true. What you go for is beauty, for peace, or for tourism or whatever. But like this is a dump site in Dharamshala. What you see there is a mismanaged problem. So that's how it is beautiful wasted Himalayas, of course, right? If this kind of mismanagement is there, if there is heavy influx of tourism with no management in place and being a hilly region and having mostly a rural setup, it would be very difficult. while we go on next, so there is a place next to this dump site named as Sudhed in the Dharamshala itself. There, the dump site, runoff, leachate and everything comes into downside of it because of the terrain. And there is a new social divide over that place because the people are severely affected, especially in the rainy season. And also there is a social divide that all the people who are visiting their relatives are not able to eat or drink water. And nobody is agreeing to give their daughters for marriages also. So that place is something which is like left out place and people feel that, right? So there is a social divide which has happened because of a dump site, and the people who are on the lower side are severely affected out of it. And likewise, there are different problems that cannot be seen in a single picture or a single terrain. So now, there comes like, why do we need operational sustainability and why does that matters in WASH outcomes, how it is related. Though your WASH programs, the sanitation takes into account of solid waste, however, it is an overlooked sector when we see water or when we see hygiene. There is already a notion and a narrative already with us from the last day that infrastructure is not equal to service, and that's very true, right? We only discuss it in the terms of coverage matrices. We are not caring about how the operations are going to sustain, and that's how that will say like how your things are gonna work. Placing just a machinery would sustain till what point? And all those coverage indicators that are there, especially in the parallel planes of WASH also, that leads to the operational fragility that is masked already by those coverage matrices. For example, number of toilets, number of hand pumps. Have we ever saw like, are they working? Who is going to monitor that? So that's something which is like parallel to solid waste also. Unmanaged solid waste directly compromises WASH outcomes. It compromises water safety through runoff and leachate, which is a very common example I just showed you in the picture. Sanitation functionality by blockage and outflow, it's a very common problem, and especially in the region we work. So that's a Himalayan region, hilly region. The conditions are quite different than what you see in plains or what you see in the different parts of India. And hygiene conditions, of course, there is persistent exposures and vectors and whatnot, the pathogens and everything. So that is already being discussed here, right? So the Indian Himalayan region, taking into consideration that it is ecologically fragile, quite sensitive, rich in biodiversity, and difficult in terrain geography. So that makes it something which is like leading to climate volatility. And then we have rising costs that are quite higher than what you see in plains, and that further weakens our operations, which further threaten the WASH service continuity. So service failure will happen, of course, if there is operations that are quite fragile to handle in such a geographies. So for just clarity, we talk about sustainability. There's a hue and cry about the sustainability. What actually we mean by sustainability? So for us, we say like sustainability is only can be taken up by the operations, and the solid waste management operational expenditure is what that will keep it running in day-to-day operations, not just the infrastructure. So yeah, this is the whole picture of what I need to or what I am suggesting to. So on the left-hand side, there is baseline scenario. When there is no system, there are no funds, and what is there? Unmanaged waste is there. The common problem everywhere where there are no systems, especially in rural areas. On the right-hand side, what we see is for a grassroots organization like us or anybody who is trying to build a system, so CapEx is the one which builds the system, but OpEx is the one which sustains it, right? And the initial funding is through CSIR and philanthropy, and then there are different system creations that is done through CapEx, which is an initial phase, but to sustain that, we need system stabilization and institutionalization, which can be done by OpEx. Ultimately, when then there will be revenue creation through user fees, through sale of recyclables, through plastic credits, and some of government fundings, that will form a self-reinforcing loop that will be sustainable at its own. So that would add to the value when we see operational expenditure, and when that flywheel effect would be there that will help that run that system. So this is the framework we have. So how we did this monitoring study? So the primary objective was to assess the OPEX sustainability of the solid waste management models using monitoring data. And the secondary objective was to analyze income versus expenditure, identify operational and financial gaps, and to inform the resilient climate-aligned solid waste models. So the study area is basically 3 locations named as Kasauli, Beed, and Dharamshala in Himachal Pradesh. It spans in 13 panchayats, and the study period is 20 months. So our interventions, we have interventions like from a system where there is no system, there would be dump sites that are very much common. And to the climate action itself, like how we are transforming, how we are reducing GHG emissions, and how there are different impacts when we see the number of days of livelihood, how many people are engaged, how much waste quantum is being managed. So such interventions do take place. And in 13 gram panchayats, we had 6,797 units. So it is a population around 35,000. While these are the visuals from study area, so we work across the waste value chain from door-to-door collection till, our strategy is that nothing should go in dump sites or landfills. So mostly we have dump sites, and we do interventions, we process the waste in its chain that nothing should go into landfill. That is our basic agenda. So over to Vinay.
Thanks, Diksha. So I won't go in details with numbers, but I want to mention here that what this monitoring revealed is like we collected 540 metric ton of waste, and out of that 98 lakhs rupees were spent, and 50% of its only we managed to get from the ground from as a like user fees collection, or you can say sales of recyclable, but rest of the money was used through CSR funding or the gap funding, you can say. And the second is like 18.23 rupees was the expense per kg expense, and only 9 rupees were covered, and rest was again, like we were in deficit. It was the gap that which we have to get from CSR funding. These are some numbers which you can see. These are 3 different studies from Dharamshala Rural, Beed and Kasauli. 50% of its OPEX cost was only covered, and if you can see financial gap, there was 10 rupees in Dharamshala, 5 rupees in Beed, and 16 rupees in Kasauli, because there was some these are some panchayat level variations which you can see. Because of, I want to highlight 2-3 things. First is like because of rented facility in Dharamshala, we don't have any facility which is given by government. So the MRF cost were like 10% increase because in processing OPEX cost. This is the pivot of expense breakup, income breakup of collection and processing, which you can see. 3 things which I want to highlight. Majorly manpower and salaries were the major cost in that. High dependency on user fees and sales of recyclables since government support is low. And third was Gunehar. This was the case study of one of the panchayat in Beed called Gunehar. So this is very important. Waste is wealth. Waste is not actually wealth. You can see that there is 47.7% which has no value out of 100% waste. Second is 31% of waste has like below 5 rupees per kg value, and the rest is like very less. So as you can see that when we talk about waste is wealth, there is less money and we cannot even cover the deficit. These were some challenges and actions which you can see on the screen. High, low value transport cost. This cost is something like which we have to transport to cement factories or to dispose it off, which has zero value. So if we are doing it in state, it is like 4 to 5 rupees per kg in state and 6 to 7 out of state. High manpower cost, 10 to 11 rupees per kg we have to spend on OPEX. These are some numbers. These were some monitoring final challenges and actions. Resource recovery, intent-based composition, no operations, removing high MRF rent burden, need payment structure in hilly regions with limited and land availability, and LVP, processing and disposal, expensive due to costs. Operational strategies, cluster, this is something which I want to mention and highlight. What we did is like, we did it in a cluster so that the OPEX and the CAPEX, OPEX collection and processing reduced to improved material recovery facility. What we did, implementing community awareness programs to remote household level with waste segregation. How it worked, impact reduced rejection rates and increased recovery of the material. I want to hand it over to.
Okay, so as we can see, like there are different challenges in terms of finance, in terms of society being not responsible, low participation, high reluctance for user fees, and there are no strict enforcement that can be seen on the government part also. And government comes very in the very end, or when the CSR funding is almost over or is yet to be over, or if there is impact, then they would be somebody who would be interested to support. That's how we have different solutions as a part of recommendation that has come out of our monitoring work or our operations, that we need daily operations to be viable and predictable, just to decrease that fragility, just to decrease that all the system failures that can be predicted well in advance and the systems can be viable. We need a dedicated OPEX fund, which is in the Indian policy also for especially Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin does not take into account the OPEX. There is heavy investment, and that is also some 15 or 16 lakh just on the CAPEX, but there is nothing on the OPEX part. There should be blended financing models, and for sustainable operations, there should be subsidy from government. For example, if we transport LVP, while transporting that LVP, if there is some subsidy or there is some type of blending opportunity from the industry so that non-profits like us can continue this work, because it's a heavy bottleneck on financial sustainability to transport that LVP, which is 50% in the total fraction of the waste. And like we will have our 16th Finance Commission in SBM3, so these should be opted. There should be user fee policy and enforcement for reducing logistics and cost, especially in Indian Himalayan region. Clustering of panchayat can be one solution, where there can be shared effort for manpower, for vehicles, for shared resources. Then there should be organized RDF system for low value plastics. For now also, like freshly we have solid waste management 2026 rules now in place, which also says like, okay, 5 to 15% should be done. So that 15% is again going to add much to our value to our operations than just the 5% or less than that. And even then there are constraints like it should be baled, it should be shredded, and there comes in number of things that are put by the industries in just the face of reluctance that we don't want to operate with LVP. But that can substitute as a part of RDF, looking into the calorific value it has. And then at the panchayat level also we need some support mechanism because across India there are so many plastic waste management structures, but their operational feasibility is not taken into place or is not seen by the government itself. Circular economy and climate outcomes, when we have high material recovery, there is good segregation at source. Of course, it will lead to reduced emissions and improve circularity in future. And then we can strengthen EPR in rural areas as well, just to promote and just to link it, the operations to climate reduction, and of course, people. So people, planet, and profit goes hand in hand, but there should be social inclusion and behavior change because these are the people who will be the system enablers. So the formal recognition on integration of informal workers is very much needed because high value waste what we collect is already filtered by the informal people. They pay price, so people have an ignorance like why we would give you fees also, why we would give you waste also, right? So if we integrate informal waste workers, we can have that change, community awareness of course, and incentivizing the citizen partnership. So with this framework, we are also evolving with different streams of waste, and in the ecosystem, we can offer this monitoring framework to partners. However, we also invite collaboration from people to drive collective impact, or any technology, any knowledge sharing, we can do so while bringing change into the Indian economy or Indian scenario. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. Again, highlighting the financial challenges of our systems and the solid waste management project, and also underlining the importance of community participation here, as all presenters have highlighted that. So right now, we can go over to the question answers. We can maybe turn around. I'll invite the speakers to come here. We can organize chairs. Can you pull chairs? Yeah. Yeah. Let's have some questions. I think
This app is only for the monitoring of municipal waste or plastic waste, or it also can be used for collection of the data. It can be used for collection of data, which ULB can use for further.
Yes, it is not only for the monitoring, but it is for the exclusive for focus on the plastic waste management. How much we are means generating, and what are the means numbers of we are giving for the recycling purpose we develop. So it will be focus also for the means advocacy to the communities also.
And also, have you find any sustainable solutions for plastic waste?
So it's ongoing project. So we are planning in the next year, which will be applicable model or means a sustainable way to streamline this project. Thank you.
Sir, I have a question for Rajib, sir. Sir, as you mentioned that for Bhubaneswar, the water supply is managed by two organizations. One is Public Health Engineering Department and the other one is WATCO. So,
No.
sir,
So PhD for Jaipur and Watco for Bhubaneswar. See, in Odisha, in smaller towns, in all the towns actually, Watco take care of the water supply.
so the same is for Bhubaneswar as well.
Yes,
Okay.
not PhD. PhD in Jaipur only.
Okay.
I also have a question for Rajiv sir.
Yes, yes.
As in your presentation, as you have said, you have formed the communities. Okay, I just need to know, there are some challenges you have faced during the formation of community. Also, we are discussing last day also, today also, for gender equity. How many women we have in this community?
So I'll be really happy to answer this question. So honestly, we did find like a problem, but not a big problem. Because why? Because our organization, Center for Advocacy and Research, we are working with the communities for last 28 years. So we can call ourselves expert on that. So how we start is in all the informal settlements, the problems are quite bigger on a scale across Indian cities. So if you talk about their problems, they are the first one that they will like catch you and also talk to you, and they have the same feelings because you are planning to address their problems. So as soon as you come up with any solution, or maybe from the other cities, they can see it. And also we organized a lot like intercity travel for community people to look at our other best practices, so that they have the confidence to implement on their own cities also. Yeah, it is a challenge, but we somehow managing it for last over 2 decades. Gender equity, yes. So in all of our committees, we ensure that at least 3 of 5 people must belong from women or transgender. So in Bhubaneswar and Jaipur, both like after the at the settlement level, we have community management committees. So from the settlement level, we have at least 1 or 2 people elevated to the ward level as sanitation subcommittee with the capacity building we and the ULB provided. So after at the city, then at the city level, we have multi-stakeholder forum combining CSOs, community leaders, and also we in multi-stakeholder forums from both the cities, we also have representation from transgender communities, not just women. So gender as a whole. Thank you.
I would like to ask. I would like to ask to Diksha ma'am. So, as you come up with these initiatives, what kind of challenges do you face with the government stakeholders?
Right. Thank you for the question. So, government has a vital role to play, but is not played in the first picture itself, because in rural system there is no system for solid waste. Government is supposed to be acting, but it acts at a later stage. However, like we have limited support. Why, we pass MOUs that is already with the Himachal government. That MOU is there between Rural Development Department, the Ministry of Panchayati Raj, and with us. But there is no strict enforcement, which is a challenge on the ground itself, because just signing a piece of paper does not mean that everything is solved on the ground itself. Second thing is we have separate bylaws with the rural areas with the pradhans, but they are the local governance at a rural area. So if pradhan is not willing, so signing a bylaw will also not matter, because if we have already because we have already faced low onboarding rates that are quite higher, and they are bottlenecks to the financial sustainability. I hope I have answered your question. I can take follow up if there is any.
I have a
Yeah, please, sir, go ahead.
yes. My question or clarification is, uh, how is the soil, that is the soil situation in that area, and then agriculture affected by that situation, and what is your own opinion or your response to that?
We as an organization are not looking into the soil component, especially the chemical and physical parameters. But as an overview, I can just share that the area has a good agriculture covered there. The soil is quite fertile and productive. And especially the area, the images I showed you, so those are the areas that are severely affected, that there is leachate, but yeah, again, then it needs to be tested for that. You can know like how much is the heavy metal, how much, if there are any pathogens or if there are any vector-borne diseases. So that area is ignored. However, of course, soil has for sure, repercussions, of course, from the mismanaged base, because in the rural areas, people have their own personal dim sites. Everywhere they will see a steep or a valley, they'll just drop it, because the population is dispersed and the geography is quite scattered. So the households are not packed, they're not close. One is here, one is there, and there is a large geographical area. So what people have flexibility to, that they are flexible to drop it in the any valley, which is like out of sight, but it is still there. And many in Himachal and Uttarakhand, we have many of the water bodies. So again, there is contamination. So again, soil is also being affected, because many of the dump sites are placed on the steep itself. Again, it is going into mixing into the water bodies. And of course, there are repercussions, not on soil, but as well as on air also and on water itself. There are visible, like visuals are there. There are, impacts. Because if you have heard, Ganga is one of the river which is like very holy river in India, which is severely being affected from the place it is being originated. So we are also working there at Gangotri. And likewise, it has severe effects.
I have a question for Rajiv sir and Diksha ma'am. So my question for Rajiv sir is the data that you are collecting, are you collecting it digitally, and is there a digital analysis of, let's say, spatial analysis or something like that?
Yes. So short answer is yes. So how we do it is we maintain it in MIS. So even to check those MIS data, so we were talking about the data and its the truthness, the question of like how valid the data is. So through MIS we also track the individual's mobile number. So we can verify it from Delhi office also. So I can sure like I can give you a not 100% guarantee, but yeah, at least 90% data is truth, and we manage it through Excel sheets, and during say midline, baseline, and inline surveys, we use Kobo tools. Yeah, and we also use Power BI for like to show it in a like catchy manner.
My question for Diksha ma'am is, in a state like Himachal or Uttarakhand, where collection is a very big problem, because not all villages come under like a municipal corporation, where like in cities the municipal corporation it collects waste and then they process it and then they further put it to the dump site. So so can waste collection problems be solved at like the personal level, like when people start segregating it at home, and then you make the biodegradable waste as some, like, or on a community level where there's a biogas where you can remove the gas from it or something like that, and is it being done, and if not, then why, if you have any idea?
So there are 2, 3 questions as I can feel. Okay, so the first question that is all about collection. Collection can be smoothened through clustering of panchayats, since the settlements are quite dispersed. So I think clustering of the panchayats and using the common shared resources would be the one thing. Secondly, if yeah, as you said, like source segregation would enhance the resource recovery. And the second looped thing here is community is not able to handle the waste problem. That's how we are, there operating in the rural area. They don't have that sense how to segregate it. The basic, while we go into community, people are not able to differentiate between what is wet waste, what is dry waste. People call sanitary waste as wet waste, right? So that level of awareness should be needed, right? Should be encouraged. And all those people, and the waste requires special handling. It is not about dry waste. While you work in wet waste, it's quite a tricky task when it has smell, foul odor, and so many things. So you need appropriate technique for that. So for that, for biogas or composting would be a good solution if it is done on the source, because of course the transport would be reduced. But what common challenge in hilly area is there is no piece of land. It's not plain to like these areas or any other place. In hills, it's like, just you walk 10 meters and it would be a steep again. So again, like wet waste has the maximum reluctance and opposition in people because of order and all those problems. So community is not supportive. So at least you cannot do there. But however, if government allowed you land, they gives you permanent structure, which is free, rent free. So that decreases the operational cost to a greater extent. And this, while you see special care waste, while you see sanitary waste, all these waste need special care. So I think community should be, responsibly handing over to the people who can take care of it. That would be my advice. Not everyone can handle. What a community can do, they just can segregate to what capacity or waste knowledge they have. That's all.
One thing I forgot to mention. So one part of our data that we collect from IBRS, that is connected to the ULB's MI system. So with their grievance mechanism, our IBRS data is connected. So one part is with the system, so other with us.
Hello. Hi, ma'am. My question's for you. Actually,
please.
you have discussed in your presentation about capex and opex.
Yeah.
For the capex, we know that most of the funds are received from the state and the central under SBM. But for opex, we don't have any fund,
Yeah.
or the funds are only from the 15 finance, which
Yeah.
are not sufficient.
Yeah.
So, have you found any sustainable solution which can reduce the opex cost, or how ULBs or rural bodies can overcome from the fund gaps? Can you please explain for that?
Yeah, so very rightly said, like Commission has no dedicated funding and that is needed, and that's how we are urging in across different forums that it should be included in the 16th Finance Commission, because whatever capex they are giving, that is also not sufficient. 16 lakh rupees for a machinery or any kind of capex is like a very minimal kind of thing. And when the dispersed settlements are there and the area is vast, also at our interventions, what we have been able to do is, the first thing we did is clustering of panchayats, also finding somebody who is local and making, we have a model of local entrepreneurship. So the community owner, somebody who wants to do it as a business also, will make it him a local entrepreneur and will hand over that particular intervention to that particular person, so that we would not be needing somebody to be finding it as a profitable business. Yes, because everybody has to sustain their livelihood, but at least they have that concern. So that is also, we are also encouraging the local people to find dignified livelihood into their own space. Second is clustering of panchayats, where we are making sure that we use the common resources that are available to the vicinity. For example, government have provided a different plastic waste management units. There are so many. So yeah, so we are just using those also for dry waste collection. All the people who are not able to give it frequently, or all those who are outside. So that is done, like, to use the common resource that is there at least. And third thing we did is, increasing the IEC, increasing the awareness level, so that people will practice segregation. There are frequent follow-ups with the community, how they do understand. There are so many Nukkad Nataks, and there are so many campaigns that are run across with the people, with the schools, with the community, with the self-help groups, with the Mahila Mandals and whatnot. So we do that, and that has already increased our resource recovery, to a greater extent what we could do in some of the other locations. So these are some of the interventions that I feel can, reduce your burden. However, I also suggest that while you suggest for operations burden, government should provide you land or the infrastructure to operate with MMRFs and everything, so that would lead to reduction of waste banks, because there are so many forest lands and everything, which is like a land which is very frequently available. So permanent structure which is being provided just apart from the capex can enhance those things. Yeah, please go ahead.
So when it comes to big cities like Ahmedabad, Kolkata,
Yeah.
or any other big cities, they handles their solid waste management by dumping them in the dump sites for landfilling. But when it comes to hilly areas or the hilly region, it's not the same. So for the hilly region, what is the next permanent setup other than recycle? Like, we cannot recycle 100% of the waste.
Yeah.
So what is the next permanent solution that we can look for the hilly region for waste management?
Yeah, okay. So here, as you said, like for example, Ahmedabad has good municipality and everything is going into dump sites. In rural areas, people have their personal dump sites, of course, as I said. Everywhere in the backyard, they just throw it because they have surplus land, surplus tea valleys. So it's not true that whatever is happening in the cities, it's just that the number of individuals or the density, population density is higher in cities in comparison to rural areas. But steps going forward, as you said, yeah, recycling is not the solution, but is far better than sending the waste to a landfill. What is the biocapacity of the landfills? You imagine the population density and the dump sites or the mountains that are being developed, right? So again, recycling is one of the solutions, and then moving low value plastics to RDF so that it can offset the fossil fuels. Going for composting for wet waste, because Indian fraction contains 50 to 60% of the wet waste. So I think there we do many things which is like, suggestive and in compliance to nature also, because what's good for nature is good for us also. And apart from that, we can, do different interventions. We as a org are not incineration pro. However, there are prominent solutions also. For example, sanitary waste being, recycled. That can be a good intervention while you see this sanitary waste as a special type of waste. So I guess to formalize the informal waste sector and then to integrate it while SBM is there. So on same terms, rural and urban area both can be taken together, because there is high increase in the dry waste when you see rural areas also. In these times, if you'll go on mountains, you'll not find anything essential, but you'll find Maggie on mountains, right? So how that Maggie is going, how those chips packets are going, how those disposal packets are going to a place where people cannot go, right? So this is consumerism, which is increasing in the hilly states also, and the scenario is same. It's just that the population is less, and everything is in this steep valley, but is overlooked or ignored, but is persistent in the nature.
Thank you all, and thank you very much the panelists for interesting discussion also, and the questions from the presentation emerged. But one very strong point you all presented is a community driven agenda which is showing results and successfully for the issue of the climate and wash, and that's the interesting part, and I think it's a very important point that bottom-up approach to this particular issue is going to show us a long way in tackling these challenges. Finance is a gap and a challenge which is always going to be continued. But I think if you build on to the model of bottom up, I think the financing models would also, which is what you also showed, how you can channelize the payment model and through the local bodies and people and use. So consumption, yes, I agree. Even when I went to Himalayas, at this Yamunotri point, I could enjoy noodles upstairs. That can reach, but the other things don't reach. So that's the story what we need to change. And I think all of you showed very interesting points, that bottom-up approach, working with community, micro-logics. I think that's the way forward we can develop interesting, both for urban also. Even cities face the same issue, that people need to be accountable and partner with the issues of development and change. And that's where we will make a long way to make our cities and environment better. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.